there, I'm Paula Iwamoto Schaap, and as of this recording, I am a brand new premier, which is very exciting. And today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about planting seeds of leadership in your team, which basically comes down to preparing identified members of your team to fulfill a leadership role themselves as they build their own teams. And as your team grows and you have more and more members in your downline, you're going to find out that this is really important, that you need to start delegating. You need to start helping people learn how to do for themselves, how to find answers to their own questions, how to deal with issues as they arise. Because as your the number of your team members grows, it becomes overwhelming. If you have 100 people on your team and they're all coming to you every day with everyday questions, if you have 100 people coming to you and asking you, what time is noon Mountain Time, my time, it will drive you crazy. So you have to start learning to help them learn. And part of that is to identify which members of your team are going to be best suited to fill a leadership role. And once you've done that, then you have to help them help their teams. But I think it's really important also to start developing expectations and make sure everybody on your team is on the same page regarding the dissemination of information. And I think there's a tendency, especially when people are new, to look at the premier of their line and say, oh, well, that person knows everything. So I'm going to go straight to that person because they have the biggest knowledge base, which is understandable that people would think that way. But I think it's really important for every member of your team to recognize that the first step in the chain of questioning is always going to be their sponsor. And I think that sponsors need to recognize that once they've recruited somebody, they are contractually responsible to support that person, to help them build their business, to answer their questions, to help them deal with problems as they arise. And a lot of people don't even think about that when they recruit, but the sponsor should always be the first level that people go to. And then it comes down to helping them understand how to help themselves. And I liken it to if you're a mom with your kids, there's a real tendency to want to do everything for your kids yourself, even though it's something that they should probably do themselves and they know how to do themselves. But you just want to do it yourself because it's faster that way, and you can get it done in 5 minutes rather than it taking them an hour, and then they're happier because you're not nagging them to get their work done. But when you do that, you are doing a disservice. You're doing a disservice to your kids because they're not learning that way. And if you immediately answer questions for your team members without trying to encourage them to look for those answers themselves, then you're doing them a disservice because they're not growing and they're not developing a toolbox for dealing with all the issues that can come up when you're a consultant. I think it's like that old saying, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day, but if you teach a man to fish, then he can eat for a lifetime. So this is helping your team members learn to fish. So, I know it happens all the time. People PM you and say, oh, well, I have this question, and they launch right into it. And your first instinct is just to answer it because you know the answer yourself, based on your own experience, based on just being a consultant for a while and learning the ropes. But if you take that and turn it around on them a little bit, and when they ask you a question, ask a question back, where did you look? Okay, you just asked me this question. Where did you look for the answer before you came and asked me? And a lot of times the answer to that is going to be nowhere. They didn't look anywhere. They went straight to you. They sent you that message on Facebook and asked you the question straight out. So if you ask them, where did you look? It changes their thinking. It makes them start thinking about where answers might be. And where might those answers be? Well, I mean, the very first place that people should always look is in their polka dotted guide, because everybody has that. Everybody receives that with their kit, and it's right there. And there's information there about things that newbies have questions about all the time, like the pay plan and props and monthly awards. All the information's in their polka dotted guide, and they have it right there in their hands. It's not like something where they have to look online and scroll through a bunch of pages. They have a hard copy of a lot of information right there. So that should always be everyone's first go-to. Also, the academy training is so fabulous. So many questions are answered in academy training, and people tend to watch them when they're new, and then it's overwhelming, and there's a lot of information to take in at once, and they can forget later. So if they go back and revisit the academy videos, it's a really good resource, and not even just for newbies. I think all of us at times are probably would be well served to go and refresh our memory by watching some academy videos, especially if you've been a consultant for a while. They've been redone and they're like really great now. Not that they weren't great then, but there's so much information there that people can access. Also, the Posh Box. The Posh Box is a fantastic resource for people that is readily available. Policies and procedures. There's so many tools in there that people can use to benefit their business, and it's available to everybody. It's not just for premiers. It's not just for PP3s. Everybody in the company has access to that information. So letting people know, hey, you can go in, you can look A, B, and C to find the answer to your question. Also, if it's not a direct Posh question, Google is at everybody's fingertips all the time. So that example I gave you earlier about people coming sometimes over and over again asking, what time is mountain time, my time? Tell them, hey, go in, it will take you 5 seconds to Google time zone converter. And then you will have that as a resource for you all the time. If you don't remember, and there's going to be a release of some product, and it's going to be 2 o'clock Mountain Time, you can go in and find out what time is that my time. So these are things that are available to everybody, and it's a matter of helping your team help themselves. So you don't have to be responsible for every single question every single time, and it will lighten your load, and it will help them grow and help them develop into leaders themselves. All right, thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.